Have you ever felt like you did everything right, only to end up in a situation that feels completely wrong? We often see our wilderness seasons as a sign of failure. But what if that struggle is actually the only path to your palace? Think of Joseph. One day, he's the favorite son wearing a coat of many colors, and the next, he's at the bottom of a pit. Genesis 37:23 to 34 tells us that his brothers stripped him of his beautiful robe and threw him into an empty cistern. Just like that, he went from a favorite son to a prisoner in a dark, dry pit. If you are in a pit season right now, or you're feeling forgotten, or you're feeling betrayed, probably you feel stuck, I want you to hear this. The wilderness is not your dead end. It is your training ground. We often think the wilderness is a sign that something has gone wrong or that God is absent, but there is a reason for this season. Deuteronomy 8 verse 2 says, "Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness to humble you and test you, to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not." The wilderness isn't about God punishing you. It's about God preparing you. In the pit, Joseph learned resilience. He learned humility. He learned endurance, even surrender and dependence on God. Genesis 39:20 to 23. In Potiphar's house, he learned management, administrative and leadership skills. As overseer, he was given charge over all of Potiphar's personal properties, fields, and household affairs. This practical management experience later prepared him for his role as prime minister of Egypt. Joseph learned to trust in God's presence during trials. He learned to flee from temptations. After steadfastly refusing the continuous unwanted romantic advances of Potiphar's wife, she falsely accused him, which led to his imprisonment. Despite being sold into slavery and subsequently thrown in prison, Joseph learned that God was with him in every circumstance, ultimately granting him favor both with his master and the prison warden. In prison, Joseph learned to interpret the dreams of others, while his own dreams felt like a nightmare. Every difficult mile in Joseph's life was stripping away the spoiled son and building the prime minister. So how do you survive the wilderness? You do what Joseph did. He utilized his gift. He accurately interpreted the dreams of Pharaoh's cupbearer, and 2 years later, he interpreted Pharaoh's dream. Joseph started to excel where he was. He didn't wait for the palace to start giving his best because he remained faithful. In Genesis 42, we see the incredible results. After years of testing, Pharaoh looked at Joseph and said to him, "There is no one so discerning and wise as you." He was placed in charge of the whole land of Egypt. He fed millions of people on earth during the 7 years of drought. He went from the pit to the prison and finally to the palace, not because he was lucky, but because he was prepared. If you are in a wilderness season today, take heart. Joseph's story didn't end in the pit and it didn't end in prison. Your current struggle isn't your detour. It is a development phase. Your wilderness is not the end of your story. It's just the middle of a miracle. Thank you for listening. I am Pastor Mariana Catch. If the narrative encouraged you, please consider subscribing as we explore more stories of faith, and tell me in the comment section what is one thing you are learning in your wilderness right now. See you in the next one.